Hello and welcome to the Cinebums podcast with John and Luke. We just saw Sinners. I saw Sinners today, actually. I think you saw Sinners yesterday, right?
Yesterday, yeah. So it's not as fresh as you.
So listen to my opinion first.
Yeah. I probably forgot all of it.
I
Yeah.
don't want to make people biased here, but that puts you at an unfair advantage. But yeah, I finally saw Sinners. The movie's the talk of the world right now, and I saw it during the day, which I love because I got out and it's still daytime and nice. I don't know if you have a personal theater going preference, but I like going during the day.
I agree. And I actually I went last night, which typically we try to go at like abnormal times because we both have maybe abnormal work schedules, this Carly and I. But
Yeah, yeah.
we went on a Tuesday night to the main cinema here in Minneapolis, which is like the
Ooh,
it's called the
sounds
main.
special.
It's called the main cinema because it's on Main Street, but it's
Yeah.
like the Minneapolis Film Society is there. And we thought it's like just a Tuesday night showing wouldn't be that bad, but it was packed when we got
hmm
there. And I was like, man, this is pretty cool. Like all these people are like super excited about this movie. They come out on a Tuesday night to see it. And then I realized it's because it was $5 movie night that we had.
Uh,
We hadn't been to a theater that it's been that packed in years. Like
yeah.
we had to sit like the second row and just like squeeze in between a couple people, and because there's no assigned seating at this theater. And yeah, it was crazy being in a theater with like, because I feel like usually it's maybe like half filled at most when I've been to theaters lately. I don't know about in LA, maybe it's different. But yeah, we had people, that theater experience of people laughing at times where it wasn't really a joke, and then maybe laughing a little bit too hard at some
Yeah, I hate
funny
that. Yeah.
moments. And
Yeah.
uh, especially with the friendship trailer before the movie with Tim Robinson, it's like I am a
Oh, that did not play in my theater. I
really
wish. Yeah, yeah.
I'm as big of Tim Robinson fan as the next guy, but it was just like people losing their minds at him just being like, him just making one of his
Making a
faces,
face.
and then the
Yeah.
entire theater just goes ape shit. That was my theater experience. It was fun to see it in a big group. But yeah, it
Yeah.
was packed
Yeah.
Tuesday night.
Yeah, I was a kind of chill Wednesday morning for me, and I think I missed out on like the hype that you could have had in a hype theater because I didn't go to a hype theater at all. It was like as laid back as could be. But as Tom Cruise said, got to see this one in the theater and stay after the credits.
Yeah, I saw a lot of the Ryan Coogler. Well, he did this one, not just interviews, but he did this one video where he was like explaining in depth like how they shot the movie and how it's being presented on film. And so yeah, I wanted to respect the artist and go see it in theaters like he requested.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, and
yeah.
it is a cool movie to exist. It's yeah, I don't know. I don't want to like I feel like I'm gonna say things that have already probably been said, and I'm also still processing it in a way. But I thought it was a little it was like Black Snake Moan with Samuel Jackson meets From Dusk Till Dawn.
That's
That's like what it felt like to me, and then maybe even like raises like blues and black history on a bigger pedestal than say obviously more than From Dusk Till Dawn, but also Black Snake Moan. And yeah, I don't know. I liked everything about it, really.
it was cool that Ryan Coogler is doing something that's not Marvel related or
Yeah.
Rocky related. That scene where it really kicks off, or if you haven't seen it, it's not really spoiling anything, but that scene where it really kicks off and they're going through like that kind of like different eras of like black music. I
Yeah. No,
thought
that's like
that's when I was like,
biggest.
oh, he's doing something like interesting with this. Like it's not just
Yeah.
some
Yeah.
straightforward vampire horror movie. Like he's doing it, he's adding his own touches onto it and incorporating
Yeah.
all these unique elements to it. So yeah,
Yeah, that
Yeah.
could go down as like one of the biggest scenes of the year, I felt like, because I just feel like that for me was like, oh, finally someone like did that and put it in the most efficient, best way. Because I feel like I always hear that. Like I'll be like listening to some rap music from nowadays with someone, and they're like, where do you think like derives an artist like Future? Like how does it even go with history? And I'm like, and I don't want to like sound like a know-it-all or like a snob or anything, but I've always found a way to connect like how music like specifically like hip hop music, how where it's derived from. And I've always feel like I've been able to see that. To me, it's always been obvious, but it's like, kind of hard to explain through words, especially, and to help like I don't know, get that idea across. But I feel like that does perfectly where it blends. Like suddenly
Yeah.
You see Prince pop out, or like a Prince type at least pop out,
Hmm.
and then you hear like a lead synth that sounds like a Dr. Dre song, and then all of a sudden it's like a hi hat from like from today, and you're like, oh shit, it all like is under the same umbrella, and it all like is. Yeah, like I just think it's just so clear how like black music, which is some of the most, arguably the most important, has just evolutionized, over the past like century. But he just shows it in one sweeping shot, and he blends. I think it's probably Ludwig maybe who probably does the sound design on that scene and
Hmm.
just does it perfectly.
Yeah, yeah, it was like all seamlessly like intertwined. That was such a cool. It was like the beginning is, really like setting things up. Felt like I wasn't exactly sure like when it's gonna like really get going, and that scene, it's like, oh, here we go, like we're in it now, and yeah, it was
Yeah,
almost like a transformative, like, um, I don't know, just like setting the stage for the rest of the movie. That was really cool.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. I mean, I like one of my favorite things. I probably have like a top three or something like that, but that's definitely one of my favorite things in the movie. Um, yeah, and to make something like fresh about like I feel like people are always talking about how, but like blues, like all these guys, like the Beatles stole blues from the black community. You hear that all the time, but someone to do it in kind of a fresh, not pointing a finger way, like pay homage to blues like this, is cool. I feel like there's been plenty of blues movies already, but this one felt just very fresh and like it fit in with today's time, and it's going to get. I'm not saying that like Gen Zers are going to leave this movie and listen to blues after this, but it definitely, at least you're definitely, no matter what age you are and whether you care about blues or not, you're going to be interested in this movie. It will grab anyone, even if
yeah,
you aren't, say, as passionate about that theme in it as we are, because we are going to be, but not everyone is going to be, because like there will be Gen Zers who are just watching because like there's horror and violence, and there's Michael B. Jordan and Haley Steinfeld in it and shit like that. And there's those are great things that kind of will bring everyone in, which is why I say like you're having a theater experience like last night where it's packed, and where it is, you could almost say, close to a superhero movie or something like that. I don't know. It's like how big filmmakers will trick people into seeing something that is meaningful and is about like art in a way. I feel like that's just over the years, that's always been a thing in the industry.
hmm,
A the smart, popular directors have had to do in order to sort of kill both needs of being like successful, but also like I want to like, I want to talk my shit. I want to like do what's important to me and all that stuff. And that's what this movie does. It kills both those needs, and so you can't really ask for anything more from it at the end of the day.
yeah, it did get to a point where I felt like it was a spectacle, like just taking out any of the storyline or anything. This is like an entertaining movie for
Yeah.
anyone, but then there is
Right.
that underlying theme of blues and like and just I don't know, like black music in general being at a or I mean you could even say just like rock, blues, anything like that being treated as like, the devil's music or you know, old crusty white people not understanding hip hop in the 90s and thinking that, trying to ban it. I felt like that moment where it really kicks off, it's like people like when blues was just like below people's minds because it's the first time they're hearing anything besides just, I don't know, church hymns or
Yeah. Well, and it's very
opera
specific
or
how like when the vampires come up, like what they're playing. You know, it's
yeah.
like I mean I'm just connecting that now, but it's very that's very like a calculated like what they're playing like something out of, Inside Llewyn Davis or something like that. I was and then when they're
Uh
singing outside too.
yeah, like Pete
Um
Seeger and A Complete
yeah,
Unknown. Yeah.
sure, yeah, yeah, yeah.
This
Like
land is your land.
yeah, 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 yeah. Or like I was almost coming up with jokes in my head about like when they're singing the folk type music, it's like they're gonna sing like something like 1,000 miles, a
Yeah.
thousand miles,
Yeah.
which of course we love too, but you can see how I can see how both of those genres are maybe a little at war with each other. I mean,
Yeah. I mean, just with like the blue stuff and in the beginning, and which they go back to in the end, where he's talking about how the preacher to preacher boy is like, you've sinned, my
mhm,
boy. Like,
right,
he's,
put that guitar down. Yeah,
yeah, like the blues is like, yeah, like kind of a social reckoning device that's like
right, right.
changing culture.
Right. Yeah.
Same with, in A Complete Unknown and Bob Dylan's going electric. He's changing culture in a way. Like,
Sure.
I
Yeah.
don't know. I
Yeah.
felt like that's what that scene showed a bit was like all the different ways that this music and culture has like
What? Yeah.
transformed over the years and just
Definitely. Yeah.
shaking things
Well, and
up.
they're kind of trying to do that, like the characters in the movie too, like along with not just like supporting that music, it kind of like as the cousin is showing how great he can play, they're like setting up a club like exclusively for like black people in Mississippi, which at the time is not a thing. And they're like running it like they're coming from Chicago, working from Capone, so they're like running it the way they probably saw it being run by, like Italian gangsters in Chicago. It's so cool. Like, because
Yeah.
I'm still just like putting this all together now as we're talking about it. But yeah.
I'd say one of my only critiques of it is that Michael B. Jordan is just like super good looking and he's almost like too good looking in this like can you imagine some guy in like the 30s looking like him how he does in this that was the only thing that kind of took
Right.
me out of it. It was like, man, both the twins, like their facial hair is perfect, their teeth are like their teeth so nice.
They look really cool. Like the
Yeah.
the opening shot on them both, I was just like, look at how cool he looks, like each twin. And I'm like,
Yeah.
and I didn't even know he was playing twins in it. Like until that
Me
shot.
neither. Yeah.
Yeah, shows how we
Like,
don't
oh,
keep up.
yeah. Yeah, I had no idea. I feel like I didn't, besides the blues and the vampire stuff, I didn't know too much going into it, and I'm like glad I didn't. Because I think that added to like the mystery of it and my enjoyment. But yeah, I kept thinking like how like in Killers of the Flower Moon they made Leo like really ugly and disgusting. It's like just gotta
Yeah.
like get Michael B. Jordan to be a little
Well,
bit
I would
uglier.
just I would only push back by saying that I think it's slightly like a Django Unchained type thing where like Jamie Foxx obviously is a slave, but he does look pretty cool in it. So it's like
That's
trying to be
true.
like the heroic like thing of the time when
That's true.
that'd be the one thing I would say. No, I think Leo is actually like in that phase of his career where he's not like good looking Leo anymore. Like I think he hasn't
That's
been
true
good
too.
look.
He's getting older. Yeah.
I feel like, or maybe not even him. Like I think he's still like good looking. I just mean like his roles. like he's not taking those types of roles. I
I
like
see. Yeah.
Don't Look Up. He's like he plays like a loser looking
He's a
guy,
nerd.
and
Yeah.
he kind of pulls it off. And then yeah, Killers of the Flower Moon. He's kind of a scumbag, and then and I don't. He's definitely not hunky Leo in the new PTA movie that is gonna drop next fall.
Also true. Yeah. Once upon a time in Hollywood, he's still kind of the Hollywood hunk
He's pretty
guy.
dope.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's pretty cool in that. Yeah.
But yeah, he definitely has been doing more roles where he's not, he's far away from Jack in Titanic
Right. I
at
think he
this
can
point.
turn
Yeah.
it on. He can turn it on and off.
Yeah.
Have you have you have you ever heard? Do you know that Pete Davidson bid from? It's like Turbo Fonzarella or whatever that special is called, where he says like Leo's slowly morphing into Jack Nicholson, like kind of going like this, like his face is changing.
Interesting.
It's
No, I
pretty
haven't
good.
seen
It's pretty
that.
good. It's a
Yeah.
pretty good bid. It's probably my favorite thing in the special, um, where he did his Leo material.
That is interesting too. I guess Jack Nicholson used to be more of a, more of a looker back in his day when he was.
I feel like Jack stayed a looker, but he became like this bigger version of himself. Like he's just like bigger and like all dad looks, and like I feel like Leo's sort of doing that. Maybe not quite like Jack, but
But yeah, that was my only gripe. But it's really more less serious. Um, but yeah, Sinners is great. It's cool that like Ryan Coogler. I feel like there's like a I feel like there's a good amount of auteur directors nowadays that are doing like their own original things.
mm,
Um, which I guess I've seen stuff like the box office numbers aren't really like showing that people do want original movies, but I think it's cool that I feel like
this
there's
movie
a
killed it. Yeah.
yeah, this did
So.
great. And even I mean David Cronenberg, he's obviously not one of the younger guys, but he is like an original movie out um
Yeah.
and yeah, I just feel like there's a good generation of people like in Ryan Coogler's generation that are doing new, interesting, original things now that people know who they are and like will still seek out what
hmm
their next movie is.
Yeah, and like you were saying at the beginning, he hasn't done a movie like that's his own, really. That's not a franchise thing. It's like Fruitvale Station, which is
Yeah,
crazy, which is actually crazy. And I mean, I like the Creeds and I like Black Panther, but like you kind of see his signature in this, like the way the camera moves, like in this movie, kind of moves in the way it does in Creed and Black Panther. So it's cool.
yeah. I'm glad he's doing stuff outside of that. Just because I'm not at like I liked Black Panther and I liked Creed. I haven't seen any of the other Creeds but the first one. But yeah, I just don't personally get as like excited about something in the Marvel or Rocky universe just because I'm not as into those as
Yeah.
other people. And Cinebum's Easter egg. I didn't know this until the other day, but this right here on the TV screen behind me is Delroy Lindo and this is in Gone in 60 Seconds, but who
Mm.
played Slim in Sinners.
Oh
And
wow.
I had no idea that was him until the other day when I like saw the cast and then I
So
was like, oh, he's in Gone in
we're
60
very
Seconds.
into Sinners, apparently. Yeah.
Yeah. So for however many
Hell yeah.
episodes I've had this background, Delroy Lindo has been right behind me. Yeah.
We've been preparing for Sinners. Hell
Yeah.
yeah.
Who also had a great interview with Mark Maron on WTF. I don't know if you
Nice.
listened to that.
Uh, I haven't listened to that. I also haven't listened to the Coogler one, which I heard is good.
Oh, yeah, they're both great. Yeah, you'll definitely like them. Yeah.
Nice. Have you watched any other press for Sinners or?
I think every now and then when I'm working and I don't know I've run out of like new podcasts. I'll just go down YouTube rabbit hole. And I think I saw Michael B. Jordan and Haley Steinfeld do a Hot Ones thing together. I
Oh,
think that was
cool.
it though. And they're just
Cool.
both, yeah, likable people.
Both very
Um,
likable, very hot, both of them.
very attractive, likable people. You know, some people
How
have it
could you hate
all. You know.
how could you hate on someone so likable and so attractive? I blows my mind. Thank God we have such likable, attractive people around.
What
I
would we
don't
do without him?
know.
Yeah.
I don't know her career super well, but I feel like this is her like most respectable thing she's done so far.
True Grit, I think, is
Oh yeah, yeah. She's in
because
that.
she's like the main. Her and Jeff Bridges are
Yeah.
like the main.
I totally forgot about that.
But that was like her, maybe
That was like her
if not her
first thing
first,
though,
one
right?
of her
Yeah.
first roles, and that was like her breakout moment. Was like she was really good as the young
Yeah.
girl in True Grit.
No, no, no. She is. She is really great in that.
Yeah, okay. We were actually
I don't
talking
want
about
to.
this last night after we saw it because Carly didn't recognize her as Haley
I'm kind
Steinfeld
of
because
looking
she
at it and I
hasn't.
realize that she's in a lot of random, like important, good movies. Like
Oh,
she has quite.
Pitch Perfect too.
She's done like a. She's like had a quite a career before this.
Bumblebee. I think she's getting more well known now too because she's engaged to Josh Allen, the Bills quarterback, who's a pretty big deal right now. She's the main like female character in Into the Spider-Verse, like that
Yeah,
whole
yeah, yeah. I saw
world.
that. Um, yeah. I mean, she's in the Between Two Ferns movie. She's in. I know The Edge of 17 is a big movie for women. I think just women. Um, she's in that movie Begin Again, which is a great movie.
Yeah, I like Begin Again too. Another musical
Yeah,
movie.
I guess what I'm trying to say is I have a lot to learn about Haley Steinfeld,
Yeah. Yeah,
but
maybe
I can't
educate
wait.
yourself next time, Luke, before you make such bold claims.
I can't wait to but I can't wait to learn, you know.
Can't wait to
I
get to know
bet
you. That's why I don't like Haley Steinfeld. Yeah, I know her from True Grit and this. And then I think just
the
from being,
beginning and the end, yeah.
yeah. And then I think besides that, being Josh Allen's like girlfriend. And I don't even watch football, but I just see this stuff like when you,
Yeah.
yeah, or just like watch sports and
Like I
see
know who Bill
anything.
Belichick's girlfriend is, but I don't even
Yeah.
watch football.
Yeah. You're not watching North Carolina football
No,
or
I'm
anything. Yeah.
not. Yeah, definitely not. Even though that was my school back in the day, and like,
That was your chosen
um,
school. Yeah.
you know, so high school me should be psyched.
Yeah. You got the greatest coach of all
I got the
time, apparently.
greatest coach with his hot ass girlfriend right
Yeah. And he's
next
got a
to him.
hot young girlfriend. Yeah. He's like the Leo of football
Yeah,
coaches, I guess.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. He's trying to do a Jack Nicholson thing there,
Yeah. Yeah.
but I guess that wraps it up on Stinners.
Yeah.
All I know is it made me want to drink some whiskey and play the guitar and you know sing about what's going on around me.
Yeah. And yeah. And kill some vampires. Yeah. No.
Right. Get really worried in my guest house about being surrounded by.
There were a couple moments where I don't know, I wouldn't say bothered me, but I just I don't know, kind of thought it was funny where it's like, especially where that one woman is like, these are vampires. It felt like a mic drop moment, like these like explaining what it is, and then she also goes into like how to kill a vampire and
Right,
saying,
right.
like, I just thought that was kind of like they're all standing in a circle and they're like, we have to do this and this and this
Yeah,
to kill it.
yeah.
I thought that was kind of like, it was funny, but also just like yeah, let's like we're in it now. Let's see
Hmm.
how they
Right.
tackle this, how they kill all
It's
these.
just like exposition that's like doesn't matter. It's like
Yeah.
this is what the world is now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, they handled that scene. They handled that transition well. Also, like Ludwig Göransson or whatever, however you say his name, like on the score, like what a versatile composer he is.
Really, yeah.
Having done this, Oppenheimer, Tenet, he's worked with, you know. Childish Gambino on music. He can do anything, and and this is like he's never made anything like this. So he just continues to be one of my favorite composers.
Yeah, he seems like the guy right now. Like
Yeah, yeah. Well, he did the Black Panther music as
yeah,
well. Yeah, yeah,
it was like I feel like there was like an explosion of Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross doing all these scores, and
yeah,
then and I mean, there's still like in the peak of that, but then yeah, now I feel like he's kind of one of these new guys that's always in
yeah.
the
He's kind of
popular
like
movies that are
people like burnt out on like say
respected.
like Zimmer or something like that. And now they
Yeah,
have him. Like even Nolan burnt out on Zimmer, which is
yeah,
kind of wild.
apparently,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. But I listened to that one Ludwig track on Oppenheimer a lot. It's called uh it's called Can You Hear the Music? I don't know if you know that one.
Not off the
But
top of my head, no.
I listen to it all the time. It's just so good.
Is he? Have you seen any of the stuff for Nolan's new movie, The Odyssey? Like, I wonder if he's doing that too.
Yeah, I wonder if he is. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I
Should
recognize
research.
this. Yeah.
Right? Yeah, it's so good.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like if you're driving or something or going, so it's like a shot of X.
Driving at night through LA.
Music's like a drug to me. I mean, like we have other movies that we've been watching lately to try to keep up with things. But more importantly, maybe possibly more importantly, is the TV that has been going on, and I felt like for the month of March, definitely like I was just watching a bunch of TV, um, and apparently you felt the same way. Uh, the shows that I've been watching, for instance, were the White Lotus. The White Lotus was the biggest deal for me in life, probably for a month. Uh,
Yeah, I
s-
would say same. Yeah.
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 I mean, I guess we could start. We could just start there. There's other TV, but yeah, we could just start with the White Lotus. Yeah, White Lotus season three. I mean, my algorithm was the White Lotus for a
Same.
little bit there too. Only because I follow like their page, but you go to like my Instagram Explore, you see a bunch of White Lotus things and memes, and um, I mean, I've been into this show since the beginning, and I think each season I seem to like it more because it just continues to evolve and explore and be more interesting. Maybe not necessarily. I'm not saying it gets better every season, but I just feel like because it keeps going, it's giving them more room to play, and Mike White just goes deeper into his world and in a good way. And I was watching this season and I was like two or three episodes in and I was like, holy shit, this season is this the best season for me? I'm like so into this season already. How is that possible? But that's where I was at, you know?
So I was into it in the very beginning when the first season came out. I watched it, and then I didn't watch season two until just before season three came out. And I don't know why. I don't know if I was just I really hadn't gotten into too many of the shows that like everybody has been talking about over the past few years, and I don't know why. I've been maybe going back to like familiar things, but
Yeah.
once I got into season two, I was like so into it, and it was
Yeah.
exactly what I wanted.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about another show that was popular. I'm sure Severance later, but so I'm not going to compare it to it now. But I it was just like wow, I'm so into this, and whatever
Yeah.
wherever they go with it, like
Yeah.
I'm into it. I'm into the vibe, the
Yeah.
atmosphere.
Yeah.
Yeah, just whatever
I
is
don't
going on with these
remember a lot
characters.
from season two, but I loved Michael Imperioli's like sex addiction thing that isn't explained. I love the couple. I love the dynamic between the couples. It just worked so well for me, and
The
uh,
awkward tension between them was just like so yeah, it was really great.
yeah,
And
yeah,
I don't even follow like the White Lotus account, but everything in my social media, YouTube, everywhere was like Walton Goggins and Amy Lou. I
yeah,
can't think
yeah.
of her last
Same,
name now.
same. Me too.
It's just like everywhere all the time were those people. So I didn't start season three right away, but I was like really itching to because all I saw all the time was the people in White Lotus season three.
Yeah, yeah.
And I watched all like, just while like working during the day, I just like watch all their, dumb little interviews they do where it's like, how well do you know your castmates? And like
Yeah,
all that
yeah, yeah,
bullshit. And I
yeah,
was like eating it up too.
yeah.
I was
It's
so
great.
into it.
Show
Yeah.
business always has our backs, John. That's what I always
Yeah.
say. The industry just will save us all.
Yeah.
It'll spit
Oh,
us out
won't
and it'll
it?
save
Yeah.
us all, you know.
And yeah, I was just so into it and just couldn't wait to see more. And it was really the first time in a while that I had really been like desperate to like get to the next episode
Mm.
of a show, which is a good feeling. And yeah, and I have really neglected shows recently, I think. That's, I have to
That's
confess
surprising to
something
me
on
because I
here.
thought you watched a lot of TV, but maybe it's not the type of TV. It's like a different,
I thought
like,
I did too, but
yeah.
like the rehearsal, which is out, which is another thing that came out. When that came out originally, you know, went through that immediately and stuff like that. I will, but I feel like I didn't get into too many
Feel like you're like more
narrative
into
shows.
comedy TV than you are like the current wave of like cinematic TV.
Definitely, I felt like I watch a lot of movies and then would just save TV for like Carly and I got really into like The Traders, which is like a reality show. It's the only like reality show I watch, but we watch like all the different English speaking countries of it and other comedy, like half-hour comedy shows I would do. Because I've actually talked to friends recently don't, who they just don't watch movies because they say they can't like commit to watching a movie. And I feel that way about, at least before the past couple months, I felt that way about shows. Is a movie
Before
you
the
just,
last couple months,
yeah,
yeah.
I've changed now, but it's like a movie you just give like 90 minutes to 2 hours and then you're done with it. And then that's your
Yeah.
relationship with it is
It's
over.
interesting. It's interesting the way people think about
I
it because
I never
like I
understood
think
that.
most
Yeah.
people don't think about it that way. Like what you're saying is like the most when people though will watch these shows though and rattle off 4 episodes, but then they're like, I don't want to watch Seven Samurai. It's 3 hours. I'm like, well, you're stupid because this is the most important movie.
Yeah. But I don't understand, like these are multiple people that have told me this that they can't commit to like watching a movie, but at the
Yeah,
same time then they binge shows all the time. They'll watch like three
right.
episodes of a show in a row, but they won't watch a
It's just like I
two
don't know.
hour
It's
movie.
the way that people are wired right now. It's like it works more for their brains.
Yeah.
It just like makes more sense to them because they're acting like they're not committing. They're like it's only an hour or it's only a half hour. That's how they talk, you
Yeah.
know. And then, but then it just goes. They just keep going, and they end up watching more than if they were to watch, The Tree of Life by Terrence Malick, which is a
Yeah.
very important movie.
Yeah,
Like
that's
I don't know, they're acting like they're not, but they're even consuming more, and in at times they're consuming way worse shit because they're like, oh, you know what I saw? Vince Vaughn has a new show on Apple TV. Huh. I should probably tune into that. I'm gonna watch everything that these streaming services just
yeah,
put down
yeah.
our throats, and the lead actor is probably just wants a pool or something like that, and they're doing the show for that, and then they'll since the content wave is so messy when people are given free reign to choose what they want to watch, it really makes you miss when there weren't so many choices.
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah, like
That's
it's good for some things, but I think film and TV specifically, it's it makes it rough. It's why it's the state we're in. But
Yeah.
well, yeah, we'll be talking about another show I think coming up that Cud Talks has a lot of things to say about that. But yeah, I don't know. White Lotus, like, uh, yeah, every week I was just like, I'm so ready, and I would watch it. I would watch it, and I'm just like, I would just be in it. I'm not. I don't think anything we're gonna talk about today I was as into as each episode of The White Lotus.
I agree
Yeah,
100%. Yeah.
yeah. There's just
Same.
something
Yeah.
about it. It just, and I've heard some people say this where they're like, "Oh yeah, I tried watching like The White Lotus, or like I tried watching Succession," which both shows have similar tones in a way where you're gonna like either probably fuck with it, either it's gonna be like you're gonna eat it up and you're gonna think it's hilarious, or you're gonna be like, I don't know, I thought the characters were dumb, or you're just not gonna get it, or something like that. But there's something about the White Lotus. The writing just speaks to me perfectly. Like I get every like move that if an actor just does a gesture, I'm like I'm just in on it. Like watching, Carrie Coon and those three women all have their like dynamic. I was just dying from the get-go. And watching Jason Isaacs like immediately having a mental breakdown. I just thought and like repressing it constantly and taking drugs and it's a really dark thing. I just found myself just I thought it was hilarious from the get-go and it's very
Yeah.
dark. It's very dark.
Oh yeah.
There's scenes where he's killing himself and his whole family, but yet the show has that perfect satirical tone that other things like say Adam McKay's Don't Look Up does not do well. Like this does like perfectly and like it's just perfect satire for me.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. It's the social dynamics and uh just sort of the awkward like human nature is just so perfect in it that it's just a great I don't it's just a great watch. Yeah, the writing is it just feels so like natural and real as
Yeah.
opposed to a lot of other things where it's super like I feel like there's obviously a lot of different plot points in it, but at the same time it doesn't feel overly plotty or like there's too many things going on to wrap your head around because it's all sort of centered around the same I don't know, the same setting with these
Yeah.
people that their lives get, intertwined. And um for I guess for something we'll talk about later, Severance too. I was like such a breath of fresh air to have something that wasn't like I have to try and wrap my brain around what they're doing right now and what
Yeah.
like
Yeah. I
I just
mean,
kind of I just you get it right away and it's just really effective.
right. Right. And is also smart. I mean, I have a feeling
Yeah.
weirdly I'm a feeling we're about to maybe agree share the same viewpoint on Severance when we get to it because I didn't think I wasn't sure if we would. But yeah, like the White Lotus has that like main thing which kind of draws people into the I don't know, kind of the dumb TV world where like say people are watching Lost or Game of Thrones and they're like I just can't wait for this like thing, the cliffhanger thing that it's building
Who's gonna be the
towards.
new king, man?
Yeah,
Like, oh,
yeah, yeah,
I really care.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, or the battle scene, like like Game of
Oh
Thrones.
yeah. Remember when that
Yeah,
dragon came in?
right,
Oh,
right, right.
that
I
was
watched
yeah.
people talk in courtrooms like with exposition for an entire season just for like the one dragon swoop shot where I lost my shit. Which
Yeah.
to be fair, I did. I remember like, there is like the spectacle does pay off, but like
Yes. Yeah.
White Lotus, you're just very even though like I think people watch White Lotus sometimes and they're like but how is the murder gonna happen? But like for me, I don't care. Like
I
I'm
no.
just in every moment. I know that's a
Yeah.
thing that oh, I wonder how this murder is gonna happen. I know, and I think it's done well. I don't think it's too overly preluding toward it. I think they do it in an interesting way. But to me, the how the murder happens at the White Lotus is never what I care about. It really
Yeah,
isn't.
me neither. Yeah.
And even when it happened in the finale, I didn't care that much. I was like, okay, this is happening, but the show just draws you in a way to where you care about every little dynamic that it doesn't matter. Like you care about the dynamic between those three siblings, like how one is a bro and a hedonist and believes that's how he's figured out the world. How the girl is a Buddhist and how the kid is a mix of both and also maybe more fucked up than both of them weirdly. Like there's just stuff like that. Like I would watch episodes where um the show has such a brilliant thing for Americans too, because I feel like we all are like kind of in that lost state where we do want we do want to like benefit from capitalism, like a lot of the people in this show, like, but that yet we also want our own peace of mind and we just struggle to have that. And like there were episodes where like partying episodes where I'm like, man, do I want to party too, just like this?
Yeah.
And then there's episodes where they're in the monastery. I'm like, I should really do something like that. That would be good for me.
I
That
should
would be,
meditate today.
yeah,
Yeah.
that'd be good for my. I feel like the show has that balance of, just showing that how especially Americans, we're just kind of in that lost in between. We're like kind of all lost
Yeah,
spiritually in a way.
totally. Yeah.
We're very lost and broken spiritually, because of our culture, and because I just felt drawn by everything in the show where I'm like, oh yeah, like Buddhism and peace of mind is the answer. Oh, partying is the answer, and like all these different things, and I'm like, oh, I have all this within me. Like I have like the side of me that really wants peace. I have a side of me that really wants to just fuck off and not care. I have like greed, but yet I'm also like laughing at all these people and how stupid they are, So it's why I don't know, it's wild. That's like the way I see the show. And that's why I just think it's brilliant. Um,
That's yeah, yeah, no, I am picking up everything you're putting down. Yeah, that's totally why I'm into it too. And I think I thought about this the other day because another reality show that we like to watch is The Amazing Race, which Mike White has been on, and he's also been on Survivor. And
yeah, yeah.
he, what made I kind of like blew my mind thinking about it was like, oh yeah, he's big into reality TV, and I feel in a way he's totally brought that to these characters on the White Lotus, that these are
Mm,
a lot of, privileged people dealing with all their like issues that they don't really know how to confront, and it's all coming to light in
yeah,
this place. And
yeah.
it like they do really feel like scripted reality TV uh episodes, in
I
some
didn't think
weird
about that, but
way.
that's a really, yeah, that's totally true. That's totally
And
how it is. Yeah.
I feel like because Mike White's so into reality TV space that he kind of gets that, these sort of, I don't know, the human element of these people who are on reality TV, and whether, they're showing their true colors or not, or just trying to, make good TV. Like there's something
Hmm.
real deep
Yeah.
down. And I feel like he's
Yeah.
tapping into that with the characters that he's writing. And
Yeah.
yeah,
I
it just
mean,
kind of blew my mind when I started to think about that's why I think that's why it's
yeah.
connecting with such a big audience now too.
Right, right. That's very true. Like why it's also popular. Some that's
Yeah.
like really smart and good writing is also popular. Yeah, and like I've always thought that reality TV is some of the best like unintentional satire things. Like if I'm
Yeah.
watching, I don't even watch a lot of reality TV. I kind of mean to more because I do actually get a lot of enjoyment out of it. But if I watch The Bachelor, I'm just like I'm in disbelief.
Yeah.
Like I really just am. I'm just in disbelief. Like Nathan Fielder has that like bid where he does the Bachelor type thing, which is great. But I've probably laugh at The Bachelor just as much as I do at like a Nathan for You episode. Um, because it's just like it is real. It is like it isn't real, but it is. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
also is real. Like these people are actually trying to be real right now, and they are trying to be their genuine selves, and they are presenting it as the best they can, and that is what it is. And you're like, wow, I can't believe this 23-year-old girl like is like so unashamedly like on TV will admit that what she wants in like a husband or something like that and believes
Yeah.
she deserves the husband or whatever the fuck it is. Like that to me is fucking interesting and hilarious.
Yeah.
And I think the characters in the White Lotus do kind of talk like that with this entitled American sort of snobbish. I mean Parker Posey was killing me every episode. I She has this one line where she's like, "We have to make her fear poverty, then she'll make smart decisions." And that is like that is so like a thing here. That is so the way people
Yeah.
think.
Yeah. And it's like, yeah, watching reality TV nowadays, and seeing some of the people that are on it, like, I don't know, it's like you're reminded that the people they're getting cast on this show for entertainment purposes. Like, this isn't
Yeah.
like who is going to be entertaining to the public, not who, even, for something like Survivor or The Amazing Race. Like, it's like, are people going to care about these characters in the show? Not necessarily are they like, oh yeah, they're nice people, they would probably be good at the challenges or whatever you have to do in the show, but are they entertaining enough that people will like cheer for them or root against them? Like, will it be a villain?
Yeah.
And yeah, and
Yeah.
that's why I feel like the White Lotus is, yeah, similar. Like, there's people who you maybe do root for more than others,
Right. There's
and
like maybe like two or three whole that you could say you like even like
yeah,
that you're even rooting them for them. I think you could say you're rooting for the Thai couple.
yep,
You're rooting for them. You're rooting for the woman from the past season to get her massage parlor, and you're rooting for the daughter that she ends up going away to the monastery.
mm,
And I think that's if you could say you're rooting for anything to end well for anybody, you're hoping it's that.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it's, yeah,
Everyone else,
there's,
you're like, they got themselves in this situation. Like Jason Isaacs, you're like, he's a crook. He got himself here himself. Like he deserves all the torment he currently has.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And I just feel like the characters are so nuanced like that it's not. There's obviously the people like you say, like Jason Isaacs, or the like the oldest son too, where they're just like, these guys are like, they really suck, but there's just still like layers to their character that
Yeah, yeah.
at least you can
There's an empathy
see
always, I think, too.
yes,
Yeah.
you still have empathy for them, and it's, yeah, it's
Like
not,
I with Patrick Schwarzenegger, I'm kind of like, well, of course that's his dad, and that's what
yeah,
he knows. So of course he's gonna go that direction. Like when he's like, Dad, and he has that breakdown moment where he's like, Dad, I don't have anything else. But like, you know,
yeah, it's man, yeah, I really got into the White Lotus, and now I really can't wait for the next one. um
yeah, yeah.
yeah, like you said,
Um,
that's clearly the thing I was most like passionate about that I've watched recently.
that Walton Goggins, Sam Rockwell, like photo and or just video reel that's shared everywhere of them on the boat going through Bangkok with like the sunglasses, just looking so cool. Like that's just one of my favorite things that's happened recently. Like I remember when I didn't think it was gonna be trending as much as it did, but when I do remember first watching that part in the episode, and there's like that some like I don't know, just like the the music's playing from the White Lotus, and like just very fitting music, and I'm just like, this is like the coolest scene I like ever. I've ever seen right now. I was just like, it was killing me. Like, and then I end up seeing it all over my feed.
Yeah, we're speaking of, the music is also great
Yeah,
in the White
apparently he had
Lotus.
problems with the composer, but
Yeah,
the music is very good. It always works. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. It's a long intro with that theme going, but I every episode I stick with it. I never skip
There's
the
that
intro.
like when shit's going down or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah, it perfectly
Dun dun
fits
dun dun dun
the
dun dun
vibe.
dun 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 dun. And Parker Posey's like, "Where are we going on this boat?"
Well,
We
yeah,
don't
that
trust. They're rich people, Mom. We could trust them.
yeah. That's the cast is always just so good too.
Yeah,
There's the huge cast and they're always it's just always a banger. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I would say this is like I would rewatch season 1 and 2. Like, I think that's how into the show I am.
Same, yeah. Yeah, Carly has not watched them, so I'm hoping that she'll
But she
yeah, get the
watched
bug.
season 3.
No, she hasn't. I watched all of it on my lonesome. Yeah.
Oh, me
Um
too. I mean, if you're gonna be watching shit alone, like might as well watch something that is that good that you don't really care that you're alone. Like that's how I felt about it. Because I when I was
yeah.
watching it, like I'm not thinking about that I'm watching it alone.
I was there with them in this
Yeah,
world.
yeah.
Yeah.
I was like,
I was
these
hooked.
are my people. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sure you'll get Carly on it, and she'll get hooked as well.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'll totally do the
Or she'll be like,
rewatch.
John, this is despicable. But this is about to cause a problem in our marriage that you showed me this.
This is low art. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, like, I should have watched it alone. I should have
Oh
kept it
no.
my thing.
It ruined it. Yeah.
This is low art. I'm sure that's what she says to you all the time. Things
Yeah,
like
she's
this is low.
always yeah.
John's always breaking out his low art.
Always watching my Nathan Fielder shows and my other low art. Yeah.
All
Well,
right, well, that's the White Lotus.
yeah, do we stick with TV and go to
Yeah,
Severance?
let's
Because we
stick
kind
with
of alluded to that
yeah,
a little
yeah,
bit.
fuck that. Like, we're not gonna do one TV, one movie. No, we're gonna do all the
No,
TV. That is yeah,
do whatever we want here. Yeah.
yeah. We'll do I
Um,
guess Severance, which here I'm gonna say right off the bat with Severance. I have not seen the entire season finale. So I've
okay.
watched the rest of it. So
I won't
I
spoil it for you.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm going to get to it, but I will say that I was watching the season finale and I stopped watching in the middle of it. Partly just, I don't know, this season was very, I wasn't totally all in on it. I was like, I felt like I was forcing myself to watch it a little bit. I'm not sure if it's me because I know it's very well regarded. And I even checked like IndieWire reviews after the end of the when I was like when I stopped watching the season finale, I was like, okay, let's check the indie. Let's see what the critics are saying because I'm not sure about this. And then I saw it's just like through the roof reviews. So again, don't know if it's me. Also, I think Severance is just a particularly dark and depressing and complicated show, and I don't know if I'm was in the right state of mind always to watch this kind of show when I was had it on. But I can't. I must. There were things I liked, but I wasn't in on every episode of Severance. I just wasn't like, and I definitely liked the previous season more. I think season 2 got a
Yes.
little more complicated in a way that took me out of it.
Yeah, I gotta say, I remember talking on this podcast to you when the first season of Severance came out, and it was really like I remember like talking how great it was and saying that you should watch it. And I really did love the first season. I felt like it's perfectly paced and like building up to something
Yeah,
the entire time that kept the mystery like intriguing. And then
yeah,
this season, I just felt like was like all meandering all over the place, going into not really interesting plot lines. I felt like it's like the perfect example of not knowing. It's like the J.J. Abrams thing of just like having an interesting premise and then having no idea where to take it from there.
yeah,
And that's what I felt like season two was. And I started watching season two before watching White Lotus. I got like a few episodes in, and then I was just like, why am I not into this? Like, I just don't really
yeah.
care. And then I go get
Same.
into White Lotus, and I'm like so into it.
This is
And I
how it's
think
supposed to be. Yeah,
it's like I'm not having to like there's like, oh well, there's this thing, and then he's reintegrating into this. Well, maybe this was her outie, and maybe this was her innie. And
Right,
then this,
right.
and it's just
It's
like
too much.
I
It's
just
too
don't give a
much.
shit. Yeah, it's
Yeah, yeah. I wanted to like support it because I like the idea of it. I like Ben
yeah.
Stiller. I like Adam Scott. I
Cast is great. Yeah.
yeah, and it is just everyone's sort of on Team Severance. So I also wanted to be on Team Severance, but I've season two, I'm not totally. I love the opening shot when he's running through the hallways. I get how
Yeah.
cool it is. But as the story unfolded, kind of, and it's not withholding the information about the company anymore. And the first one was so much more microscopic, where it's just about like the dynamic in in Lumen and about how they don't really know anything and then they slowly discover it and that made it interesting, but now they know too much and they're all going too deep and it just became very, to use a word that's used a lot, convoluted for me. And
Yeah.
on top of it, it is a kind of just depressing show. um like
Yeah.
it's a little sad where you're like watching the the Audi's wife fall more in love with the innie because the Audi has neglected her, and you're just like, ah, this is just such dark worldview shit that I don't need more of a dark worldview like a lot of the
Yeah.
times. Like I don't. Like I have plenty of one already. Um
And yeah. And it is kind of like then where do they go from here? What are we wanting these characters to accomplish? Like
sure, yeah.
they all know that this is shady and they kind of get this is weird, but then they're like, all right, you know what? We'll do it. We'll stick with it and see what we can.
There there's
Uh,
a there, there's some that
yeah,
they're building towards that I find interesting where you're kind of pulling for the personal. You want both of them to win. Like you want Mark on the inside. He wants to help. Like he's starting to like resist helping his Audi because he wants the personal freedom for his innie and the self discovery. And it's the whole part of consciousness thing, which that shit's cool and all. But that was like one thing I liked out of like a lot of stuff that I was just not very in on. Yeah, I wasn't enjoying it. I wasn't enjoying watching
yeah,
it. That was the biggest thing. It's not even due to like the point of the show because I think I agree with a lot of things going on in the show. Like, yeah, like I think it's a great show for nowadays where everyone like I like to think that over half the world has a job that they can't explain to anybody. I find that with so many people, like where you just like if they try to explain their job, you're like, what made up bullshit world are you living in? Are you working in? I mean,
yeah,
we can both say like you and I both have physical jobs that make sense and can explain. Like I work in a restaurant, and I stand by a door. You like do marketing for a comedy club, like a physical comedy club that people go to. Other people are just in like this corporate world, just doing like things that look like on the Severance screen, like how the Severance screen, it's all just the numbers. That's a perfect like example of like what it is like because most people
yeah,
have these types of jobs. So I think that end of it is great. But also because I don't know, that metaphor for me can like get when I watch the show, I'm like, oh, this is kind of depressing because of how real world this is. Sometimes I'll think about that about my own job, where I'm like, man, I'm just like sometimes just so not alive when I'm at my job. What if I could just not have to be alive while I'm at my job? And I don't even like have like one of those kinds of jobs.
yeah,
So I think just maybe like the darkness of the show and mixed with the fact that I can be prone to depressive thoughts already. It just sometimes aren't a great blend. Like I found that about the rehearsal season 1. Like I was not in a great place. I was unemployed and broke and just sitting there thinking about it. And I remember I was like getting high and watching the rehearsal with a friend. And I'm like, this shit is fucking dark and depressing. Like I don't need this shit right now. Like this shit is messed up what he's doing, how he's having a baby with this random woman. So sometimes it is me. So that's why I'm not gonna totally dismiss Severance because I know a lot of people like it, but I am glad you agree because I was worried that you were going to be like, "Oh, I thought it was just great and brilliant," and then I was going to be like, "Oh, well, I didn't really like it," and that's how it
No.
turned out.
And I think
It makes
we're
me
not
feel less
as
alone about it.
I think we're not as alone as you might seem. I think the main consensus on it is that it's still like a great show and everything. But I feel like I've seen other things critiquing it. This isn't like I came up with this. Obviously, seen other I've seen other people write about this or even had the same conversation with a couple of friends after the finale came out, but it the premise is very interesting to me, like everything you're saying too. And there are some days at work where I'm like, did I just go to college and get this job just so I can send emails all day? Like, is that my job? Is just like sending emails like that? And that's where it's like Severance, like I don't like that is appealing. Like, oh, maybe yeah, that's interesting to completely disconnect your work life from your personal life.
Right. Yeah,
Um,
because the argument is like, aren't you kind of doing that already? Are you really
yeah,
like, yeah,
yeah. But then it's like this is I guess the take that I've seen that I kind of agree with is that it's similar. I'd never even watched Lost all the way through, but how like Lost was like a similar thing, like had this interesting premise that caused a lot of people to like, at the office the next day, they would be like talking about like, what do you think it is? Are they in purgatory? Or like, what about this showing up? Or that, like these random things. And then it got to a point where it's like the writers are like, yeah, we don't fucking know we didn't think past the premise. And that's almost
yeah,
what I feel about Severance is that they didn't think it through past season one of like what
yeah,
is going to happen. And I think that, there's also part of, just TV in general where I guess, networks, streaming services can kind of decide whenever to just cancel a show. So you don't know if it's going to be over after
right,
one
right.
season
Maybe
or two
that's
seasons.
the idea all the writer had, that
Yeah.
the writer that Ben Stiller discovered, and then they built all this awesome set design and characters around it and all that stuff,
Yeah.
and yeah, and then they just were like, oh, we're successful now, that wasn't entirely expected or
Yeah.
something like that. Yeah,
It does feel like a show that was more popular than they thought it would be. And then yeah, it does. I mean, like you said, convoluted, I think that's the right word for it. Cause I also was just finding myself really not interested in it. And I guess I didn't take away like that it felt like super depressing. And maybe deep down, I did think that too. But it was, for me, I guess I just was just nothing. There's no mystery to it that reeled me in more because it felt like they figured more out about the company and then decided to
yeah,
stop
yeah.
figuring out more about like what is the deal with this place
It kind of
anyway. And
seemed like, it's like the season starts and they're dealing with the fallout of season one, and they kind of like get back in their chairs, and they're like, all right, we're gonna do it, we're gonna do this again, and it's kind of a good moment, right? But
yeah,
then they kind of do be like, all right, all that momentum from the last season, we're just gonna stop that now, and and like
yeah,
it's weird.
that's yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what I thought about this was that like the pacing was way off, and it didn't feel like there was something that I was like I was like dying to figure out where they go with this plot point. Or
No, yeah, there were too
I
many also, and
yeah, yeah,
I did. The more I found out about the company too, I don't know, the kind of the less I liked. I didn't like seeing the board meetings, the owners. I didn't really like that. I didn't like having a face to it. I liked how there wasn't a face to the company before.
yeah, the
Um,
mystery of it was much more
yeah,
intriguing.
yeah.
Yeah, that's why it felt like, okay, what do we, so we're just like cool with this, but we're gonna, I don't know, try to, yeah, it just seems like, why would, okay, just leave,
Yeah,
like you can
yeah.
leave, so just leave.
Stop working here, and yeah, none of them really had. It never felt like. There's that one good scene where that one comedian guy. He's like he goes to the door factory to find a job at the door factory and he can't get the job. And so you're like, okay, I get why he's there. But others, you're like, why are they still there? It doesn't really totally make there's not like enough of a real reason to me. Like, yeah, I felt like you needed
Yeah.
more scenes like that, like where you're trying to get you're seeing the right maybe I don't know, which you don't want to see because it's Severance, but like if you're going to go that route, like it's like I feel like we're in a writer's room right now or something.
Yeah.
But like
Yeah.
it's like if you're like see how the rest of the world is desolate or something, see why they are trapped at Lumen. I don't know.
Yeah.
It felt like they were like willing the innies and the outies were willingly keeping themselves there the more fucked up it was getting to.
Yeah. Right.
There's
Yeah.
all these like I feel like you could go on and on because I haven't really thought about this till now because I was just kind of watching it like mindlessly. But yeah, I guess I do have a lot of problems with the second season.
Yeah. And I honestly was just finishing it because I just felt like obligated
Obligated.
to
Yeah,
finish. Yeah.
that's why I was watching the finale. I was like, I guess I'm on the finale. We might as well watch the finale and see what happens. And then there's like this scene where what's his name he's like got that marching band out there. And I
Yeah.
was just kind of like during that scene, I was just kind of like fuck off. But I just like turned it off. I was like, I had it like at that point. Like,
It's
I'll finish it, but I really didn't like that scene.
yeah, no, I'm really glad that you also had like animosity towards it a little bit because that's what I was feeling too.
I
Was
felt
like,
like it was like trying to be artsy bullshit. Like, it really was.
okay, yeah, and I can't totally like defend this point, but when watching like Twin Peaks or something and there's something really bizarre and abstract
Sure,
that's going
sure.
on, it really just kind of like fits still, and I feel like you can tie it into the story somehow at some point
Right.
of the show, and it just fits. Whereas
Yeah.
this, it's like
I don't think it
it's like,
fit. Yeah.
oh look, there's this one room where there's a bunch of goats, and
Yeah,
it's like okay,
yeah.
like
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
and
like it's just like we need something to do. Or like it's the finale,
yeah,
so we're gonna do some crazy scene like that. But and it obviously it's shot well and it looks cool, but like didn't fuck with it.
and I don't know if you're at if I think this is in the finale. I don't know if you're at this part yet, but there's kind of like a hallway fight scene that goes on with Adam Scott and one of the like the board
Uh I don't think I'm there
members.
yet. Yeah.
Okay. I won't say too much, but I just like watching that. I was just like, this is like not real. Like, this isn't how this type of thing would go down. Like, it just didn't feel like it really even just like made sense with it just looked bad, I thought. And I
Yeah.
wasn't like, oh, whoa, this is like a crazy intense scene. I was like,
Right,
this looks
right.
kind of awkward. And
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, cool. I'm glad we're on the same page with Severance.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's good to it's like therapeutic to talk about it
Yeah, it
in
kind of is. I didn't realize that, but that was like
in
a
our safe
whole.
space.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. We've cultivated this space of many years of podcasting together. All right. Well, we talked
Yeah.
Severance. What's next? The studio?
Yeah, studio.
Was there one other, or was it just those?
I also wrote down the rehearsal, but that's still pretty early
I
on
mean,
in
I
it
watched
that
the
it's
first episode of
okay,
this
I watched
rehearsal.
I watched the second episode too. Um
Yeah, I haven't gotten there yet.
and of course
Whoa.
it's great and weird, and I don't know where it's going, but that yeah, I don't have too much else to say about it, but um
Yeah, that's
yeah,
all we talked about was the those three shows. But
yeah.
anyway, so the studio, Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg's The Studio, two guys who are definitely had a giant influence on me uh going after show business because I was like, oh, you mean I could just smoke weed and sit there and I'll become successful? Okay. And I'm still doing that and hoping it happens. So we're they'll answer to me when all is said and done on whether I achieve my goals. But Yeah, I've always been a big Seth Rogen, Evan Goldberg fan, more specifically for what was done when we were kids. But you know, I've always been happy about the success of Seth Rogen, and um, almost felt like I was becoming successful in a way. No, but like when you know, like his past decade and a half now, where he became like a producer and a Hollywood kind of mogul guy, and he's not really as much of a, you're not really following him as much movie to movie. What he's doing, it's just about, oh yeah, his company's producing this now, they're producing that. American Pickle.
Yeah.
American Pickle wasn't bad. Like the movie with Charlize Theron was decent. Neighbors was fun. Like you're not following it like that. It's not like where Superbad and Pineapple Express were like, you'll watch those probably forever. And
Yeah.
like this is the end. I don't think I can say honestly, I probably haven't loved a thing Seth Rogen has like written and produced and acted in probably in over a decade since then. Um, but nevertheless, he's always kept being able to make things, and he's stayed successful, and it's good. It's a good thing. And I don't know, the latest thing is probably like I don't love it, but I think it's one of the most interesting things that the Rogan team has done in a while, and I am pretty into it. I watch it every episode when it comes out, and it's just the studio is just a very nice, like, oh, we love Hollywood, we love the movie industry. Let's just celebrate that and not think about any of the other bullshit that's surrounding it or that's come into the world, like fucking TikTok and Reels and influencers and everything. And it just sticks to movies because you could say comedy and music has very much been infected by Reels and TikTok and shit like that.
Mhm.
But they just keep it to movies, which is still is its own just thing. It's just, even though like streaming services run it to a degree, it still is like that at the end of the day, that classical, like, we're Hollywood and that is what we do. And I just love how he's paying homage to it. And then clearly, like guys who know about that world because they've been working at it at a high level for a while. And I think Seth Rogen works as a studio head too. Um, Acting wise, I just think he works. He works as like a guy who's maybe very successful and rich, but also is a super nice guy. Because that's what he is,
Yeah.
anyways. That's what he is anyways. So I think he works as this role, and I also love the way it's shot. They put a lot of effort into the way it's shot. Um, and I like every cast member too. I've enjoyed it. I want to watch it every week. I mean, as someone who lives in LA, it's a great show to watch because you're just like, oh, look at how nice LA is again, and oh, look how they're on the Warner Brothers lot. Remember how I moved out here because I love this industry, and that's why I moved out here. Like because
Yeah.
other things don't make you think that way, especially in LA, because LA is taken over by a lot of like the things that we don't like say like TikTok. Like a lot of the people who are famous out here are TikTokers and influencers. So there's a lot of that culture of the classic, like that classic Hollywood idea of everyone who's out here was an actress or like a screenwriter or something like that, or even like something that is close back as La La Land or something like that, where they're just dedicated to the craft of jazz, piano, and acting. Like that seems very far off sometimes here, as like um, it's just like the internet and also just capitalism has infected that perfect idea in a way.
Yeah. I figured this would be something that we'd both be into just on the premise alone of like the Hollywood behind the
Yeah,
scenes, like
yeah, yeah,
um sort of
yeah.
like romantic uh view of that. And yeah, that's
Yeah.
why I've been super into it too. Even just after, we had our Cinebums summit in LA this
Oh
past
yeah,
fall.
yeah.
And I
Sure,
was like,
sure.
man, LA is exciting, and so
Yeah,
it's where
yeah.
the stars are, things are happening.
Yeah,
Um
yeah.
and yeah, so that totally hooked me in. And I really like the dynamic between Seth Rogen and Ike Barinholtz as sort of the
Yeah.
two.
Ike is very funny in it, and
Um and it's kind of like a classic, like Seth Rogen and his best friend are like bickering and
sure, sure. Yeah, yeah.
and also trying to help each other out, and um trying to, like, I don't know, schmooze these actors and directors. And
Yeah.
yeah, I like
Yeah.
that it's kind of like an absurd look into that. And I have not fully caught up. I think I'm two
The
episodes
last
behind, maybe.
episode I watched specifically was great. I thought it
Okay,
was
cool.
just fantastic. Like yeah, I'll just like give you the premise of the episode. Like he goes to like a party for with a bunch of doctors because his girlfriend's a doctor. So then there's it kind of develops this dynamic of like is what he does is as important as what they do because in his world like the movie industry, like yes, what he does is ultra important, you know what I mean? And I've worked on many sets and you do get this, and I don't work on sets specifically anymore because I hated how stressed out everyone was. Everyone, because everyone, you're not even anything on this set, but everyone felt like, no, this is the way it is because every day is the most important day ever. But so I don't know. Anyways, that's like the dynamic in the latest episode. It's just kind of a funny thing to see. I think it's a great idea. Um, yeah, but yeah, I love the show. I think it's a great perspective to, I don't know, from the studio head, where the studio head kind of feels like a loser. Like, because what we revere in Hollywood is, actors and talent, like Ryan Coogler and Michael B. Jordan and Haley Steinfeld. That's what we think about, but there's all these other people that, such as someone who literally like, yeah, we greenlit the project, we're gonna make it, we're gonna like give you all the money and put my ass on the line so you can make it because I believe in you. Now that is the most optimistic way of looking at it for sure. There's a whole other side to it, I'm sure, but like in this world there are still plenty of people out there like giant Scott Rudin level producers or whatever who do love like the movie industry and are making every big thing that we like. Every big thing we like, you'll see the same names on it. And these are just the producers, but then there's like the studio heads and shit like that who are also like in support of that and have a way too nostalgic view of the industry in Hollywood. And that is the only thing you can have nowadays. Like you really can only have nostalgia, because
Hmm.
something like Sinners is a rare thing, and I enjoy the rants of where he's like, that's like when Annie Hall came out or something like that. Like he's just so into movies and like when he's talking to the episode where he's talking to the talent, but he's just in the way. Um,
Yeah,
I don't know how much you've watched Entourage, but I've watched
not at
Entourage
all.
more than I'm
Yeah.
proud of saying that I have. But Entourage is kind of the studio is Entourage, but like reversed. It's from because in Entourage they're always dealing with what's it, Jeremy Piven's like, we gotta talk to him, Vince. He's the head of the studio. Like there's always episodes like that. But this is reversed where the studio is trying to like please the movie star and not get on the bad side of the movie star, and how they want to be like liked by them because they're fans too. It's like a very interesting perspective that I've never thought of before. In Entourage, they're always like they're trying to be all like anti the Hollywood system and shit like that. They're all like, we're gonna make this movie with or without their help. Like fuck them, fuck the money or something. Like that's always what they're doing. It's like very like film broy in that way. Like yeah, you think like like someone from the 70s would have been like Coppola would have been like that. Like that's kind of how they are. But in the studio, it's very like he's like got this perspective of like I make art. I green light art here. And so we're gonna and I put my ass on the line. So like I don't know, and he's just a fan of it. It's a very humble viewpoint of it that I find really interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that about it. I like his character and how, yeah, passionate he is about movies because it is, I don't know, I think it's funny to see like a take on like movie executives like this too, where you do kind of, I don't know, you think of them when people talk about them on podcasts or whatever. They're like, yeah, well, the studio they didn't want to do this. They passed on this.
Right,
Like
right,
thinking
right.
about the like
It's like
the
all the
face.
things the studios did wrong, you know what I
Yeah,
mean? But also everything we really like is what the studios also did
yeah.
right. So I feel like it's like a can't win scenario for them.
And they're always like this faceless entity that
Yeah,
you
yeah.
don't, the general public doesn't really know, but they're pulling strings of Hollywood, and
Right.
it's like people making business decisions
I feel like we think of them like a
for these
bank or
things.
something when there is way
Yeah,
more going on that we're giving them credit for.
yeah,
Like they are all in there
and
probably being fans of movies and loving
yeah,
movies, and that's like,
they got into the industry for a reason. Like they can
yeah,
be in business otherwise, but um then yeah, like the whole Kool-Aid thing in the beginning too.
yeah, yeah. It's a good
Just
bit, and
yeah, it's like it also makes me think of like what were the meetings like when these guys in suits were talking about funding like the Emoji Movie and
true,
stuff like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Like just the dumbest, most clearly like I don't know, trying to cash in on some fad thing. And yeah, it's just yeah, I think it's funny. I'm glad, and I'm glad it's like done by like Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg, who are not going to take
Yeah.
it like like they're not going to be too like romantic about it, but more like fanboy,
Yeah,
like
they
you said,
kind of
like this
like
is like an Annie Hall came out. Yeah,
right. They're kind
that
of like
stuff.
romantic. They're able to like
Yeah.
be they're like romantic about it. Also, they're like making it in sophisticated way, yet all the writing is like comedic. So I feel
Yes,
like
that's it. Yeah.
they've achieved a wonderful balance that you're like you can't hate on it. Like you can't,
Yeah.
like really,
Yeah. Cause
in
it's
my
not like
opinion.
overly sentimental because of how funny it is and absurd, but uh
Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, there's still clearly that just like film nerd love in it that they have. So
Yeah.
yeah, I've been enjoying it. Yeah.
I'll mention one other thing about it. Like there's this restaurant they go to that I've been like nerding out about lately because it's like actually we should go there next time you're in town and if you want to grab a bite. It's called the Smokehouse. I don't know if
Yes.
you see that episode.
So when we were coming to LA, we were coming with two of our friends, and
Right.
I was like I would kind of want to go here. And
Yeah.
then my friend Michael's boss, who lives and works in LA, uh he just like asked what we were, what kind of things we were doing or looking to do, and he mentioned that I wanted to go to the Smokehouse. And he was like, "What? That's like where my dad goes. Like, why do you want to go?" Because he's like an LA guy that's like
Right. Right.
grown up there and like whatever. And we
So you
never
got
ended up going.
overruled. That's
Yeah, we
too
never ended
bad.
up going. But yeah,
We should try to go next time you're here because
cool.
I've been wanting to go there for months and I finally went last month. And like after I went, I'm watching like episode one of the studio, and there's like a shot like where they're just like showing them walk in to have a meeting with God damn it, I can't reference anybody in the what's his fucking name? This is gonna how's this gonna cut? David Crumholtz. So they're like
Oh,
so there's a shot where they're walking in a restaurant to meet with David Crumholtz, and I noticed I'm like, oh, that's the smokehouse. Like the second they get in the door, because it's such an iconic lobby. Yeah, it's a vibe, man. Like it's I feel like for like eating out in LA, like it's a must. Like just to like like you're not gonna get this like you immediately get washed with this like old Hollywood vibe the second you're in there, and it just feels like fucking like I don't know, like Bogart was having a drink there back in the day or something like that.
Yeah.
And it's just like it's very picturesque. And then there's all this like pictures on the wall and stuff like that. And it is like a lot of old people eating there, but you always think, and it's not just old people, but you what I think when I see those old people is like they must have done important things or something like that, you know, like
Yeah.
yeah, dude, it's cool. Like the food is like I would say is a 7 at best, but like vibes, you're never gonna get a dining experience like it. I think it's so cool, especially if you're like gonna nerd out about like film, because
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
it just has that vibe of like film. Like I had this and just like old Hollywood nostalgia, you know,
Hmm.
like it has that too. I had the same vibe when I went to the Magic Castle. Like those places kind of feel a little similar. Plus, it's right across the street from Warner Brothers, so it just feels just like this is yeah, it's cool. Feels
That's
like you've made it.
yeah, we gotta go next time then. So,
Yeah, I'm such a smokehouse nerd. Um, and there just happens to be multiple smokehouse references in the studio, where they're like, she's probably at the smokehouse and like
yeah.
eating cheesy garlic bread. Like they go there multiple times.
I felt like I don't remember exactly what, but I feel like it's one of the episodes I've seen that they've either been there or mentioned it. Because I remember thinking about it recently, and I feel like it was after watching the studio.
It was on your mind
So
just randomly. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah. So I must have seen some in one of the episodes I've seen. They've either referenced it or been there, but or been at a place that looked like it from what I've seen in pictures or movies.
Yeah.
But yeah, but
Yeah,
yeah, that's
John. We'll,
cool.
we'll only go to the places ensconced in show business, like Cantor's
Yeah,
on Fairfax and the Smokehouse, and we only eat there.
and and Bob's Big Boy Burgers and yeah,
Oh
all
yeah,
the Hollywood places.
I went there like yeah, like a few weeks ago with a friend, and the famous Bob's Big Boy in Toluca Lake, which had the Lynch mural. I will
Uh-huh.
say it is probably the coolest Bob's Big Boy you can ever go to. Like it's pretty
Jealous.
cool. Yeah.
Nice. Nice. But yeah,
Yeah, you
that
know, I live the dream. What can I say?
God, I'm so jealous of Luke,
Every
man.
6 months I'll eat at some iconic Hollywood place.
But that's what the studio, like as soon as I saw the trailer, I knew I was like, this is like a Cinebums type of show.
Yeah.
That I knew
Yeah,
we would
I
both
hope it keeps
watch.
going.
Yeah. Yeah.
Also they got the guy from Birdman doing like the drum score, which is cool.
Oh, really? Oh.
Yeah, yeah.
I guess Birdman was also like that one take,
Right.
um,
They're kind of like lifting a lot of
similar.
Birdman
Yeah.
stuff.
Anything else on
All
the
right.
studio or the
No.
smokehouse?
Oh, dude, I could go an hour
We got to have
there.
your every week your smokehouse review. You got to go once a week, and yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the main thing you go for is the vibes and the cheesy garlic bread. And then
That
everything else is very typical. Like you can get a steak. It's definitely a good place to drink a martini, which I never drink martinis ever. Um, and I didn't at the smokehouse either, but like it seems like if you were a martini drinker, it's a good place for that.
yeah. I'm not. I honestly not for lack of a better word, but vibe can honestly like really bump up a restaurant experience for me. Like whether or not
Straight
the
up,
food
yeah.
is if the food is like decent, um, but the vibe is really great, then that's I'll be perfectly happy.
The smokehouse, if I could have lunch there every day, I probably would. Which I will in three 3 to 5 years, I will be no problem.
Once your screenplay gets picked up and
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. No, and it
yeah.
seems like a place where like, oh, I sold a screenplay, so I'm having dinner with my agent at the smokehouse. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
just
yeah.
yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
Talking about it makes me feel like I did that. Like
When you go there, you just feel like a new person. Yeah.
Yeah, it kind
Wow.
of is, man. Yeah, we'll have to go next time you're here. That's got to be
For
a
sure.
priority.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
You're like, you'll have to be like, Carly, you don't understand. Luke and the smokehouse go hand in hand now.
Yeah. It's a package deal. It's the full experience. Yeah.
Yeah. So I want to go through my just I haven't watched too many movies, but I'll go through my top five so far of the year. All right.
I'll do the same. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I want to do better at like keeping up, but sometimes you can
Yeah.
only do your best. So I got at number one, I got Sinners, obviously. Number two, I got Black Bag by Steven Soderbergh, which I thought could have been the number one for the entire year. I was so into it.
Wow. Wow.
That's an exaggeration, but I will say, John, if you get a chance to watch Black Bag, you should. It's really fucking good.
I really I
I think it would be your thing too. Like, I think it's up your alley.
cool. I've really wanted to see it, but I think when it was in theaters, I was just like not I just had a lot going on, we'll say that.
Yeah,
So I didn't necessarily get there, but I really want to see it. So whenever it
yeah.
is available to watch at home, I'll
It's
do it.
damn good in its way. It's like it's perfect. Like yeah, in
Sweet.
its own way, it's perfect. So then I got Mickey 17, which for me is like Bong Joon-ho's like Don't Look Up. So it's a little better than
Mm.
that, but I also was like I wasn't like super into it. Um, still enjoyed it.
Hmm.
Then I got Your Cordially Invited,
Oh yeah.
The Nick Stoller, Will Ferrell, Reese Witherspoon joint, which actually Nick Stoller is referenced in the studio. It's worth mentioning. They're like, we
Yeah.
gotta get Nick Stoller to direct. No, now we're gonna get Martin Scorsese to direct. Like, what scale are they
Yeah.
on? Um, and then number five, this was a movie I know a lot of people saw, Companion. I thought it was just
Yep.
okay. Um, so far I have two that I liked, three that there is like a scene in You're Cordially Invited that you're just like I was just dying from Will Ferrell. Like he's just talking to his daughter about like how he like moved on from the dead mom and they're like that's like their kind of baggage they share together and he talks about how he moved on from like and had sex with another woman and I think he says something about how he had sex with like two women or something like that and it's like Will Ferrell telling her and it's just the funniest thing ever.
Okay, I have not seen that, but it's been like on my list to get to
I
at
think
some
it's
point.
worth like it's not like you can fold laundry during it, you know.
One of those. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But I thought it was good. Yeah,
Okay. Cool. Is that
that's my
your
top.
Oh, that's
That's
your
my top
five. Oh
five.
yeah,
Yeah,
wow. Short list so far. Yeah. I mean
yeah.
mine's only at three. Which also I have to mention that Sinners is now the first non-Jack Quaid movie to make my list. My 2025 list at one point was just Jack Quaid. Because before Sinners, which is at my number one spot, the only other movies I'd seen were Companion and Novocaine. Um, and yeah, Companion just came on Max, so that was easy. And Novocaine did go to the theaters for it. Um, both movies, like you said, just all right,
Yeah, yeah.
nothing like I would say I probably will not revisit either of them. Um, but I thought they were like, entertaining enough movies to watch. But yeah, Novocaine really came off as very much like a January type of movie that well maybe that I thought they had a ton of Jack Quaid did great at like promoting the movie and there's so much marketing for it, at least that I saw that, and there's no movies really competing with it. But when you see it, it's just really like, oh, this feels like this is just like filler movie for like the movie theater or the movie studio to get something out at this time and have a likable younger actor that has been in a lot of relevant things lately. So and yeah, Companion too, I felt similarly with that. But Yeah, so that's my top three. It's Sinners, Companion, and Novocaine.
Starting off hot, coming in hot.
Yeah. Oh
Yeah,
yeah. But yeah, Black Bag is really I've really been wanting to see that.
yeah,
And
it's
whatever
good.
the
It's
other
good.
Soderbergh. Soderbergh had another movie.
Presence. I
Yeah,
didn't see that. Kind of like
that
you,
one too.
didn't make it to the theater for it, but like I aimed to.
Yeah, and I felt too like I feel like this every year, but after the end of the year, we're trying to see all like the movies that come out in November and December. I just felt like fatigued from going to the theater. Um,
Sure. Oh
which I
yeah,
think,
definitely,
yeah, which
definitely.
I
Me
think too
too.
is why I got so into like White Lotus and trying to catch up on TV. Uh,
Yeah, I
just for
think
that
most of the
same
time I
reason.
never see anything during the month of January,
Yeah,
like late January. I never see anything, so
yeah.
that's why.
But yeah, Sinners was a good reason to get back to the theater, and yeah, now I'm looking forward to seeing Friendship when that comes out in a couple weeks. Um,
What is that
obviously,
again?
only what is that or when is
Oh,
that?
fucking yeah, yeah.
That's the
No,
Tim
never mind.
Robinson, Paul
I
Rudd.
forgot.
Yeah,
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 yeah. No, I really want to see that too.
yeah. I'm really looking forward to that one, and I feel like that will be a fun theater experience too, because it does just seem like I think you should leave movie like a
Yeah, and Paul
I,
Rudd's a perfect pairing
oh
for.
yeah,
I feel like anybody's comedic taste, he can fit into it. Weirdly, like he's just such a versatile comedic actor. Like he can do
yeah,
the corny Ant-Man comedy, but then he could go like the weirdest. He can do Tim and Eric or whatever. Like put him
yeah.
anywhere.
He really is like a chameleon. Yeah,
Yeah,
a comedic chameleon.
yeah.
Because even like I don't know, going back to somehow something I saw like a clip from Anchorman the other
Right,
day, and I
right,
was like,
yeah,
God,
yeah.
I totally forget that Paul Rudd is one of the main guys in
What's
Anchorman, and
his
he's
like
so funny.
monologue where he's like, is it what is like a hair product he uses? I
His
forget. Yeah. The
Sex
mi-
Panther, his cologne.
yeah, 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 yeah,
It's like
yeah.
60% of the time it works every time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Man,
Yeah.
I mean, I used to be able to drop of the hat know about that.
Oh yeah,
Shows
yeah.
how I've gotten older. Yeah. That's the only way I age is like I forget references like that, I think. But yeah,
Yeah, I
well it's
mean
like
like
he goes from
so
like
long.
clueless to that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like with the span of years.
Yeah, I mean it's like 30 years straight of him just being super likable and funny
Yeah.
in everything he does. Which another like in the trailer for Friendship, one of the quotes that they throw in there is "I love you, man," for sickos. Um, which definitely hooks me into it. And he's
Right,
also
right.
great in "I Love You, Man." Yeah, it seems like a similar style movie of two of just on male friendship and these two unlikely friends that come
Sure.
together. So yeah,
I do like that tag. That definitely intrigues me a lot.
yeah, yeah,
I can see it
um,
popping over Sinners for me. We'll see. I know I said a lot of things about Sinners, but who
yeah.
knows? Maybe
Who
that'll be
knows?
more my cup of tea. Um,
There's still a Paul Thomas Anderson movie to come out, and
right. I mean, that one's gonna, yeah, we already
yeah.
know. We already know.
All day. That's going number one all day. Yeah.
Yeah. PTA
Think
all day.
I've saved
Um,
my number one spot for that. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I love the scene in the trailer where he's like, "Thank you, Sensei. Thank you."
Yeah, that looks like it's gonna be I don't know. Obviously it's just gonna be so good. Um
Yeah, I mean the guy doesn't miss, John. What can
he
I
doesn't.
say? He
No,
doesn't miss.
it's just anything he
He's the
does
most
you want to
on
go
fire
see.
filmmaker of all time. He just
Yeah.
everything he does is just a 5 stars.
And I guess that's just to touch on the rehearsal a little bit. That's how I feel about Nathan Fielder and this in his like subset too. It's like whatever he does, it's like you trust that it's going to be the weirdest shit you've ever seen, but also
Yeah,
really funny and yeah, maybe a little like I don't know this second episode.
maybe a little
Well,
crossing the line.
yeah, maybe a little too much, but The second episode, I think there's some like sweet moments in it.
Hmm.
Just some of the the interactions he has, and of course, there's also just the worst uh, type of people you'll see. But yeah, that comes with the territory. But yeah.
I think to close us out, John, I'll share my playlist.
Oh yes, please.
I do a lot of things. I cook, I make beats. I do this podcast with
Another
John.
form of cooking. Yeah.
I like to look at them as separate so that I can count both of them, but yeah, I see the metaphor. But also I make Spotify playlists in my free time. Those are my non-working hours. And recently, I've been watching a lot of Martin Scorsese movies. We saw that moment at the end of the studio where Seth is watching Goodfellas. So, I rewatched Goodfellas, I rewatched Casino, and I rewatched The Wolf of Wall Street. And you know what that had me doing? Also, listening to some music from those movies because they all have such great soundtracks. Um, so, I made a soundtrack that you can find on Spotify now called Scorsese Violence. And it basically, I take every song that happens during a giant, very violent, usually beating the shit out of some guy Scorsese movie. And I take the song that goes along with it because I always enjoy that. So here, I'll go through it. It's very short, so I can go through it. Um, it starts off with Long, Long While by the Stones. That is from a scene in Casino where Joe Pesci takes a pen and is just repeatedly slamming it into a guy. And it might be the craziest violent scene from a Scorsese movie. Like I feel like Casino is not one of the it's like not you wouldn't rank it towards the top of your Scorsese list, but it has maybe some of the best things in it, like individual things, and like including like cinematography and storyboarding. And that scene of Pesci driving that pen into the guy and just beating the shit out of him. It's one
Yeah.
of the best displays of violence in any Scorsese movie, just from the shot. Also, the song, like it kind of kicks in. It's kind of during a high moment of the song, and so he pairs that very well. So that's the first song. Uh, watch this take like 3 hours. Um, the next song is Let It Loose by the Rolling Stones. Now, this is a moment in The Departed where Jack Nicholson's got Leo kind of tied down and he's like, "Are you a fucking cop?" And Leo's like, "No." All right, we're moving on. And then I have The Bells of St. Mary's by the Drifters, which is an obvious one where Pesci kills Sam Jackson in slow motion. Very classic shot. Um, and then I have this one, Atlantis by Donovan. I don't know if you know this
Hmm.
song, John, but it's a great song where it's after they kill Billy Bats, and there you shows them dragging the body around, like at Henry's bar, and it's like
Yeah.
way down before the ocean, way. It's really good. It's actually like a really silly song because they're really talking about being in Atlantis, but like it kind of like it just sounds good. It's just good.
Yeah, I'm trying to pull up the playlist so you can hear that.
How come you can't find it like on Spotify?
It should be the first thing.
Yeah, that's what. All right, and then I have "Nobody But Me" by the Human Beings, which that's a very famous song. It's very notable for that office scene where
Yeah.
they lip sync the entire thing, also known as the death of comedy, lip syncing. No, I love that scene from The Office, but this scene specifically is also from The Departed, where Leo just randomly starts beating the shit out of a guy in a grocery store, and it's pretty hilarious. Like I forget, he just does it to get the attention of Nicholson's character, but I forget like why he just starts beating up this guy in the grocery store. Like he just goes to town on him, and it's I mean, most of these scenes I find kind of funny because they're just so
Yeah.
absurd how violent they are, and the music that goes with it kind of works. I was saying to like my brother how I think Scorsese has, and I think you'll agree with me on this. He has way bigger comedic sensibilities than he gets credit for. Like we were watching
Yeah.
like the Pretend It's a City doc and how much he's laughing during that,
Yeah.
and you know, it's very enjoyable. And also, if you ever watch the like, it's like Charlie Rose with Leo and Scorsese for Wolf of Wall Street, and they're just talking about all the ridiculous scenes they filmed because I think that is maybe his movie where he's trying to do a straightforward comedy, maybe the most. Like they just talk about like say the scene where him and Jonah Hill are in the kitchen or whatever, that ridiculous scene, and you can tell Scorsese thinks the movie is just really funny. Like all the things that
Yeah.
Leo does in the movie is very funny. Um, but like I find other Scorsese movies that maybe aren't considered to be comedies to be very funny all the way through, such as I think a lot of people would agree with this, so it's maybe not as groundbreaking of a thing to say, but I think Goodfellas is probably one of the funniest movies ever.
Yeah.
Um, and one of the reasons why I think it's so funny also is just because it's unintentional. It's not really trying to be. It just kind of is unintentionally funny. Like maybe the biggest unintentionally funny movie ever. But it is hilarious. And the more you watch it, the funnier it is.
I
Because
think that
last
the
time I
characters are really funny too. Like
yeah,
it
yeah.
just brings that out. Yeah.
It also has a natural humor to it, but I think there's like something else there too. You know what I mean? It has its own natural humor, but there is also more to it going on. Just like the whole thing when I was watching last time, I'm like, this is just too much right now. Um, but yeah, so and then the last one I have on the playlist is Please Mr. Postman, which is from Mean Streets when there's
Okay.
like that elongated brawl scene in the pool hall.
Yeah,
That
that seems very Scorsese to have that type of song playing during a fight scene. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, that is my Scorsese violence scene. You know, it's playlist. It's a small playlist, it's a humble playlist, but that does not diminish the overall importance of the fact that I made this playlist. In my point of view, I think
Very
more
impressive. Yeah.
people, I think more people should know about it and appreciate it, and maybe even praise it as well.
Yeah, I agree. Spread the word. Um, rock the vote. Get out and vote for Luke's playlist for best playlist. Cool. Well, I guess how do we
That's the
wrap?
end of
Is
the
that
end
how
of
we
the
wrap it up?
episode. Yeah.
We
I
fade
mean,
and fade to black.